Hello and welcome to Realm News, everybody, for a very special episode. This is episode 8, and I have the special privilege of interviewing the Sun King in his capital city of Farthia. I am right now in his realm in this grandiose museum, and this thing is huge, guys. Like, it is massive. Anyways, let me introduce to you my brother, the Sun King of Farthia. Hey, bro.
Hey, how's it going? Excited
Great.
to be here.
I'm excited to be in this beautiful museum.
You should be. A lot of your sweat and labor went into helping me build this.
Yeah, actually, tell me a little bit about how we came to be standing here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So because you got to see my kingdom from its initial little seed. I built a dirt island, sort of just in the middle of suppose you could say a tributary, because it's kind of a river that's bifurcated by an island. Yeah. So I built that, and I was lucky enough from my point of origin to be able to see a natural village. So, of course, I secreted a few villagers away in the middle of the night and brought them over to my kingdom and started my little village. Very small at first, and then as I started expanding and feeling more safe with village dynamics and things like that, that's when I brought in the triumvirate. You, the Dark Lord from your realm, and the representative from New Gaia.
Now, just to clarify to the listeners, we started our kingdoms in different dimensions, different realms at the same time about a year and 3 months ago.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, in around Christmas 2023 or 2022. And we've been building these worlds almost consistently since. And you, as you said, you built yours in this tributary. And I remember when you had me come in, it was a fledgling. You didn't even really have anything built yet, did you? When I first came in, right before the 3 horsemen battle.
Yes. Well, I had very cramped because at that point I was just excavating the hills. It's a plains biome for the listeners, just so you have an idea. So a lot of open fields on one side, and then on the other side a lot of spruce.
Yeah, you have a lot of open fields, because I'm looking at your map right now in this museum, your map of this city, and it's massive. And yeah, you have a big plains area there.
Yeah, I was really lucky with my point of origin, bro. Literally being able to pop up on a shore on a nice flat area. I could see a village naturally. It was pretty much the perfect starting point for my kingdom.
Yeah.
But it reflects, you can even see in the map room how clustered I was at the very beginning. You can see sort of the center point of it.
Kind of like how my cities are still.
Exactly. We all start off with that. We all start off small and scrapping around just so we can get a foothold against these monsters battering at our doors. But yeah, obviously that drives our hunger for expansion. So
heavy fortifications is essential to beginning.
Double walls, everybody. Please double up your walls. 2 high.
3 high in my world.
That absolutely necessary, especially you had a dangerous biome or a world that you dropped into.
Well, I didn't come into a village rich realm like you. How many villages is around your vicinity when you came in?
By my point of origin, I could see a natural plains village, and then not even way less than a half day's ride, maybe a quarter day's ride on boat south. I had a natural, what are we calling like the tall spruce trees biome that's the grass is a little paler,
Oh, the
Seems a little
savannah.
colder.
Not the. I guess the spruce wouldn't be in the savannah.
No, it's more like not quite frosty. It's a strange thing to be attached to because it doesn't turn into a snowy biome.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's actually, I don't know the specific biome off the top of my head, but it is a sub biome of the snowy, I think plains, or one of the snowy biomes. It's not quite a snowy biome, but snow can collect there because the temperature is at a low enough. And if the listeners out there
Okay.
remember, in 2 episodes ago on the Great Farthian Desert episode, I explained temperature gauge, and I don't know if I told you about that yet, bro, Sun King. But
No.
yeah, there's this temperature gauge in this game that the developers put in, and it ranges from negative 0.7 being the coldest and 2.0 being the hottest. Man, isn't that kind of cool?
That is wild.
So like right now, like your area being in this tributary, if off the top of my head, there's a whole list that tells the temperatures. I think you would probably be around a 1.7 around here. Like 2.0 is
Oh,
desert. Your Great Farthian Desert is a 2.0.
okay.
Just to give you
That's
your
wild. I wonder if they have ideas for implementing like some basic survival. Like,
you see, but I guess from what I read, this actually dictates how the what biomes are laid out based off the weather and humidity, like whether or not it's going to be snowy in elevation, that the snowy the taigas or the snow-capped peaks, those are the
yes, yes, yes.
coldest up there in elevation.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Well, that is very interesting. See, there's a reason why we've been playing this game so long. You peek behind every corner, and there's just
Yeah,
more fascinating mechanics to look at.
that's why I started this podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
you'll never run out of episodes.
well, bro, like something I think about doing, and I want to move on after this. So we kind of went off sidetrack, but on the temperature gauge, I'm going to put up like signposts, like, or weather stations, maybe. I don't know. I was
Ooh,
throwing that out there, like to include in lore,
that makes sense.
which
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I kind of want to. There's a few. I mean, there's a bunch of questions I want to ask you, but I kind of want to Okay, so we're in your museum,
Yes,
and we're staring at
exactly.
your map room. This museum is obviously, and I helped construct this with Gaia Divine, and we spent
Yes.
like hours on this, like of human time building this thing, because we were
Yeah, we
primitive.
were up. Yeah, we were up till early in the morning building this, and
But
it would not be as grandiose without you and the guy Divine's help.
obviously,
Uh,
this is a cultural hub, which reflects what is your lore? What is this have
oof,
to tie into you have your flags all over this museum, like, and your
yes,
flag is a blue flag with a solid yellow sun in the middle, almost like the sun in the sky, right?
exactly. So my idea is a little less. I prize more of an open spaces approach to my city. So I like di- pretty much designing how people would design a town in the real world.
Yeah,
Uh, blocks, open spaces in the middle for people to converse. And one, to me, it's visually appealing, and it leaves everything a lot more sunny and open. And two, practically, I don't have to wade through masses of villagers to open a door to get through a hallway. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, um, just taking that aesthetic, and not to mention me immediately, my point of origin was in a very sunny plain. So I adopted the moniker of the Sun King.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that moniker. It kind of goes binary against the Dark Lord. Kind of fitting for
exactly. Exactly. We're not totally opposite in our ideas of expansion and king and ruling, but yeah, we definitely have different kingdoms. So with that idea and that kind of motif, I took that initial island that I built that we were just discussing,
Mhm.
and I started to branch it out with pathways to different districts, and I would call these the sun's rays.
I like
And
that.
so,
I have
yeah,
and to compare that, I have what's called God's fingers.
yes, exactly. So similar ideas, but different ways of approaching the lore. So now that I've kind of grown Farthia to be with large masses of land and connecting to the surrounding landscapes and walling those off and slowly encroaching on that, the sun's rays don't really work because now it's kind of one continuous landmass. So obviously expansion, that's what we do. Once we hit a wall, we just push past it.
Yes.
I started building rails. So now the rails are the sun's beams, and you can ride those safely from nucleus to nucleus and sun to sun. And that's kind of the idea behind it. Also, if I do have a villager that steps outside of like the fence or something, then, you know, the sun burns as well. So,
so you're a just king, but
as much as I, for their safety, yes.
I would probably have to say I think you're probably a little bit more of a fair king than I am. I'm a little bit more draconian when it comes to it. My lore is very authoritarian.
Yes, and mine is more reverent in art and culture. But you had a harsher biome to survive in initially.
I did,
and with a lot less people.
I had to go. I went a good month or so, I think, before or at least a couple weeks before I discovered my first village.
Yeah, I think that's right, because I believe I started the seed for Farthia just to test the idea of capturing villagers and taking them away from their natural home and getting them acclimated, because we'd never done that before, or it wasn't available to us.
No, and that you kind of bring a natural segue to my next question. That wasn't available to us before. Like a lot of things in this game weren't available back in 2013. I kind of want to get it. I really want to kind of get into how we were introduced to Minecraft.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we discussed that, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was, I think you and I talked about it, and you were the one that reminded me it was back in 2013.
We were on it pretty close to the start. If I remember correctly, I think it was it was obviously very popular when it came out, but we hadn't tried it yet because it seemed very simple, which was foolish of us.
Yeah.
But then it was my best friend, the great Brandini.
The great Brandini. Shout out to the great Brandini.
Definitely. If you're listening, man, you need to start playing it again. I know Baldur's Gate 3 is good, but
yes, get back into Minecraft.
We miss you in the realms,
bro.
Yes,
we have 2 massive kingdoms for you to join into.
I was saying, stake a claim in my land, please. I have plenty of land to go. But yeah, he bought a copy, and I went over to his house one afternoon and wasted an entire afternoon. But spent an entire afternoon and early into the morning. It was just fantastical, and so much deeper than I thought. The survival mode wasn't something that I had heard of as much as I had heard about the complexities of the crafting and like what you could do with that. So when I bought a copy of the game, I was very pleasantly surprised to find out that there is a survival aspect.
Yes.
Those limits, they add so much to your sense of accomplishment, because you're fighting monsters. If it's raining, it can get you during the day. There's just without that, it's hard for me to get invested when I don't have that immediate sense of danger or mystery.
So many facets.
Yes,
but I can't quite remember how you got me into it.
I can't either. The only thing I could think to say is that we were neighbors at the time, right?
Yeah,
I was living
right across the street from each other.
Right. So the only thing I can imagine is that you came over and I just probably in a crazy rush just showed you the things I was working on.
I vaguely remember you telling me about it, and I kind of remember me like giving you some flack about like, oh man, that 8-bit
Kids game.
something. And then when I came over and was playing it, and I delved in, like right when we launched in, I kind of remember just being in. I vaguely remember when you brought me into this world to show me, to introduce me to it. It was a lot of trees, and I was like, what do I do?
Yes.
And you're like, you got punch wood, and I was like, what? I was like, I have to hit these trees. And so then, like, yeah, we need to do it before nightfall. I'm like, why? And it's like, you just do. We're going to get killed. There's zombies and all of this. I'm like, what?
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
like,
And I think you had the same apprehensions I did when
I did.
Brandini showed it to me. I'm like, that's a kid's game.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was a
Stacking
kid's
blocks.
game.
Yeah.
But now I'm 36, and I've played this every day now for the past year since we picked it back up. Like, and
yeah. Well, and back then, and I'll say this: the local split screen, and I'm gonna say this about every single video game coming out now. Like, I understand we're adding hundreds of hours to video games, but can we just get back to some good split screen games so you can play with your friends?
I agree.
On your couch, because that helped a lot. You not having to just watch me show off my kingdom, but you being able to hop in.
Yes.
And then me go and punch wood, go scoop up some dirt because we need to find coal, because at that point we didn't have charcoal.
Well, that's what I love about this game, because it's a very interactive game, and it's a simple game. And I mean, we don't live in the same, just for the listeners out there, we don't live in the same state. So, I mean, this is even a way for us to get on and connect, states apart.
Absolutely. And I'm not trying to call out our Dark Lord here, but you often play on a Kindle, and I'm on an Xbox, and we're able to.
You can call me out. I'm proud of what I accomplished on a Kindle.
You should be. You should be. I could not imagine.
I have built a massive kingdom on this Kindle.
Oh yeah, a mighty empire on 2 megabytes.
Okay.
Yeah, go on.
Let's bring it back into your realm. Okay, like.
Okay.
No, I'm glad that you introduced me to it back in 2013.
Me too. And you mentioned the trees earlier when I in my initial kingdom, and I do remember my first world that I had settled in.
Okay.
And just roughly, it was very confusing because I was using the denseness of the leaves in the forest as natural stepping blocks to lead up to my main house, which was in the air.
Oh yeah.
And so it was impossible if you weren't me to navigate, because it was just so insane.
Yeah, you had it way up there. You had you had a huge terrarium, not terrarium. Yeah, terrarium all as well, didn't you? Like a huge glass.
Yeah, I built a giant. Yeah, terrarium's a great word for it. But yeah, like a giant glass domed. It was almost as spherical as I could make it. Forest that I built.
Yes.
Way up where the clouds could pass by. It was super high. And then I started to build under the water. I built a glass palace under the water just to test that out.
Yes, so, I forgot about that, because that inspired me to start building underwater.
Yes, and we've been doing this since we started playing. Is like, you'll try something, show it off to me, and then I'll immediately go to my kingdom.
Yes.
Try to save idea.
Like the rails you just said, that in your current realm, Farthia, not New Farthia, but in Farthia, you started a rail. It was very basic, but when you showed it to me, that's when I went crazy. Like, when I went back to my world and I mass produced rail at a scale, and then we built the Royals rail. You helped me build that massive project. But before we jump into that, bro, okay, we were just talking about 2013. Now it's 2024. What to you, if anything, is the biggest difference in that gap of years? That the biggest change to the game to you? Besides boats breaking on lily pads.
I was going to say, those boats breaking when you're in the middle of the ocean was terrifying.
That was so annoying. That
Oh,
was just you,
dude.
you didn't even have to run into anything. I think if you just paddled for too long, it just broke, didn't it?
Yeah, it just broke, and then you're just bobbing. You couldn't even like, yeah, you had to constantly be looking at the screen. Yeah, it was. I'm so glad they fixed that. Oh, but that, honestly, with the amount of changes, I don't even think that would have made my list off the top of my head. That's a good one, bro. I guess probably to me, it's gonna be boring, but the charcoal. The
Okay.
charcoal is
Tell
a
me.
game changer to me.
Did they not have charcoal back then?
I don't know. I had never encountered it at that point, but maybe it was
You
available and I was just not had
aware.
never tried to put two pieces of wood in the oven before.
Actually, I think
Um,
you're right. I think that was new since I'd have to investigate that.
yeah, I'd be regardless. It's new to me now, so I love that charcoal so much. It just saves from having to mine for coal needlessly. Um, that and then the villagers, straight up the villagers, being able to make your own village home
Yes. Yes.
adds such a better role playing element. Like now I have villagers to trade with, they're local, and I've seen online where people could be way more cynical about this than us, as far as just like having traders trapped in little booths all the time.
Yeah, yes, I let my people roam freely.
Same. And yeah, it's a little bit of a pain because at this point, and I meant to do a head count of the beds that I have in my village just so I could have a rough population count, but I didn't.
Uh,
Needless to say, it's a lot at this point. Um,
yes, what would you guess? A couple hundred villagers?
maybe it's over 60 for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Um, yeah, it would be hard to tally at this point because it's just a very large metropolis, and yeah, it can be hard to track down the villagers that you want to trade with, but to have that just sort of role playing environment of like I can look out my window in one of my houses and there's villagers milling about farming the fields. I love it. Added so much of a new dimension to the game from the 2013 version, because that was always fun to find a village, but they
Yeah.
weren't immediately useful,
N-
because monsters come at night and it's not as safe as fortifying your own home. So I love that addition.
No, I absolutely agree with you because honestly, without villagers, this world's very lonely.
Yes, dude. Yes.
And as we said, I come from a lonely world. Mine's spread out. I all my people derive from one village.
That's true. That's true.
I have taken all my people come from the town of Valakia, as I call it. And
Valakia. Good name.
yeah, thank you. I got it from the History Channel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those ancient old names are the best, I think.
I agree. I agree. Like sometimes you just can't beat. I mean, even
Which
Hobbit. I'm not above.
I love the name. Hang on, let me see here of yours. Right here. Tell me about Four Horsemen / Old Town.
Oh, the
Here
four horse.
in Farthia. Yes. Tell me about the district Four Horsemen.
The four horse village. Okay.
I
Well,
was
you know
part
this.
of this, but I want to hear it from you.
Yes, you know this. You know this fable very well. It's the best Minecraft fight I've ever been in.
I thought that
Uh,
was epic because we got
Absolutely.
slaughtered. That came out. That was that was like a blitzkrieg attack.
It was insane, and it was so close to my fledgling village.
Yeah, you
Like
were in
we could
peril. It
see
wasn't
them.
even started hardly. We didn't even have fortifications up, did we?
No, I did have it fortified, but it was so close to that shore that you could see them. So, for the listeners, yeah, I guess I'll just start from the beginning. Um, uh, we had in the beginning in Farthia when I started my village. I did get a lot of help from the Dark Lord and from Gaia Divine. And I remember you were visiting my realm, and I was showing you some of the new buildings I had built, and it was a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, while we were exploring the shore of an island nearby, that I could see from my house, which was in front of the village closest to the island.
Yes.
But yeah, we were exploring that by boat. Crack of lightning and 4 skeletal riders, archers,
And this was,
wearing enchanted armor, riding skeletal horses.
and for the viewers or for the listeners, real quick, we did not know that lightning could do this yet.
Yeah, imagine
So this was a shock.
Not having any idea that this was a thing that they added, skeleton horses or things popping out of lightning.
Yeah, this was
totally
wild.
new to us.
Crazy.
Yeah. Slaughtered us immediately.
Oh, yeah. We didn't have a chance.
Massacre.
We didn't have anything. We had what? Leather armor and stone weaponry?
Yep. Yeah, I wouldn't even say that I had an iron shield.
I don't think any of us had shields.
Nope. This was very, very basic. Barbarian. We were like Conan the Barbarian at this point. Very much in our stone tool era.
Yes.
So we got slaughtered. I believe we slept that night to get rid of the storm and to hopefully for those beasts to go back to whatever hell they came from.
Yeah.
And then when we woke up and looked out of my dock towards the island, they were just waiting on the shores.
Did not go anywhere.
Nope, waiting for me. And this to illustrate,
that enchanted armor protected them.
They were super tough, and especially for where we were at. And as far as technology wise, we were not equipped to deal with these guys.
No, we had to do flanking maneuvers. I remember. And
yes. Well, to illustrate to the listeners, I could not ignore them. Anytime I wanted to sail out of my tributary towards the other natural village that's in the more tundra spruce forests, I would pass right by them and they would rain arrows on me. Yes. So it just is not an option. I got to deal with these dudes. Luckily, the Dark Lord was always willing to go to arms.
Always.
Yes. So I think we just equipped swords. That way we wouldn't lose any more of our resources.
I believe so.
And then we got boats, super short boat ride. And no, I don't even think we had boats. We swam.
No, we swam in.
Because the bobbing helped us.
Yep.
Yeah. So we went at them a couple of rounds and reduced the health of at least 2.
Yes.
Died probably 3 times to get that down. Then when we killed the first 2,
yes.
Maybe after we killed the first one, we started to think differently.
We didn't have our dogs, did we? We didn't have our wolves.
Those are at the end, dude. But
okay.
Yeah. So we killed one, got killed a bunch of times. Kept just running, swimming back over there with swords. Just beaches of Normandy. Barely stood a chance. Hamburger Hill. But after we got the first one, I think we really started strategizing.
Yes.
And thinking like they're facing north. So Dark Lord, you're heading north already, swimming. You draw them. I'm going to come up from the west side and flank them from behind. And that worked spectacularly.
Yes, it did. Yeah. We drew them. They didn't know how to react to that.
Couldn't react to it. So we took down 2 of them. Utilizing our brain. We're crafters. We're the gods of this realm. So we need to use our intelligence. So we used our intelligence and did that. Of course. And we collected some bones from the first 2 riders that we killed.
We did. That's right.
Yep. And on this island, it's a small island that I've now added to Farthia capital. By walling it off completely and torching it and making it safe. But it had a lot of wolves spawn naturally. So in the middle of this fight, 2 wolves appeared and were just watching us. So I ran over and fed one a bunch of bones while the Dark Lord was taking a lot of the damage. He bonded with me and started to attack one of the last 2 riders. then you did the same thing. You fed another wolf a few bones.
Yeah.
They immediately tamed. I believe we took out one of the last two riders, and then our wolf companions, our dire wolves, killed the last one.
Dire wolves.
Yes. And we still have them. They're still in our kingdom.
Yes, sitting there. And I can't wait till when the armadillo releases and we can get scoots off it and armor them.
Oh, yes.
Did
That's
you
going to
hear?
be so good.
Yeah, bro. I don't think I ever told you this, but from what I read online, that armor on the will be as strong as diamond armor for
wow.
for the dog. So they will be able to be more combative. Like, and from what I've read online, man, the wolf was supposed to be a combat element to the game. So
that makes
they'll actually be practical for once.
I was gonna say that makes sense to like draw enemy fire and also to give you a helping hand, because
yes,
you know, with the knockback, sometimes you're knocked out of range and then you're just taking damage. But yeah, that four horsemen of the apocalypse fight was the best fight I've engaged in Minecraft. It was a epic battle. It's hard to convey the scope to everyone listening, but it was really fun. And the combat, to me, can be one of the weaker elements of Minecraft.
I agree. It's a little clumsy.
It's a little clumsy, but I mean, but it totally fits the aesthetic of Minecraft. There's so little to complain about with this game, but yeah, really great. And then I built a village commemorating our battle, and then, like Ed already mentioned, at this point, I just went ahead and walled off the whole island and took it for my own.
Yeah, it's massive, and you've now just pretty recently started to expand outside of your city of Farthia and have now built other cities, like in vast distances from there.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, well, I mean, taking inspiration completely from Ombre Dew in the Dark Lord's realm.
You have to expand.
Actually, yeah, you were the one that made rapid expansion possible with your industrialization of iron.
Yes, I started to YouTube and get into factories.
Yes,
like that was a game changer for me. I don't know why. You know, first off, Sun King, I have to say this, and for listeners out there, if I was a new player, I would do things a little differently. Like, first off, I would get, you know, a fort established, but then I would, as I dub these, deep earth mines, I would dig down to bedrock and get that diamond and gold and iron right away.
Yeah, 100%. We were not approaching mining the right way for a very long time, whether from stubbornness or from just
Live and learn.
Like
we were content with stone swords and getting by and hunting. We were hunter and gatherers for the longest time, and then I think my first factory was in Charmois City, the glass blast furnace, and
right,
that was with hoppers. I knew they existed, but I was just like, I'm never going to use those. And then I finally connected them. I was like, okay, these things can just smelt glass all day around the city while I do other things. And that was a game changer, bro. And then the second game changer, cattle farm, cattle factory.
Yes, the cattle cooker.
You need a cattle cooker. That way you just, all you have to do is breed them, hit a button, and cook those babies after they grow up into adults and collect the leather. We got the beef. And then you got leather and beef. Like no more hunting. No more hunting. That frees up your time.
No more hunting, no more cooking.
And it doesn't take any sophisticated tech. It doesn't even take redstone.
No, can't stress that enough either.
Yeah, so you can be a beginner player, not even in like mid game, like as they say. You don't have to be late into the game. You can build these things almost right off the bat.
Highly recommend that you do.
So deep earth mine, and I say do a cattle farm. And what would you say next, bro?
Oof, those are both absolute musts. Yes, for time savers. And these things really find a simple YouTube video and really step by step it, because they get complicated to me as well, even though I've been playing this long. So I just step by step it and just follow the recipe, and it really doesn't take much.
Bro, try to remind me, but I'll try to leave some links from YouTube videos I have saved for those on the description of this
Cool.
episode.
So, yeah, that'll be a good resource for everybody, I think. Because as far as farms, so should we just go into it and I can describe like what I have industrialized so far?
Yeah, you're the one that made the latest one, but go ahead and tell. Okay, so we mentioned Deep Earth Mine, then a cattle farm. What would be your next one, you say, and that you have in your kingdom?
I mean, 100% the one that you set up, and probably the most time consuming to make, just because you have to wait, not for the actual build, I would say, but the iron prison.
The iron prison.
So in the lore and in the sort of role play aspect of Minecraft, the Dark Lord started this iron golem farm, and it's a strange setup. It's very odd, but basically it automates the spawning of golems, and then it destroys them and deposits the iron bars.
It sounds cruel, but the way you set these up for the listeners is you have to have 20 villagers and they can't access their bed and they're totally closed off. It's essentially a prison, but that's the only way you can make these work.
Yes.
Mine, to fit into my lore, I named it the Mushquash prison. And so they're just there producing iron for me. They were bad villagers. Sorry.
They were fishing.
So now now they're sentenced to the prison, and they produce a lot for my empire, I guess, but that's just how the game operates. I don't know another way to get iron, but go ahead, bro. Sorry to cut you off.
No, absolutely. No, great context. And so same as we had mentioned earlier, everybody, it's the Dark Lord will do something in his realm, bring me over, show it off, show what advancements, and then boom, right back to Farthia, where I'll try the idea myself. So I made the Denisovich prison, iron prison.
Good name.
Yes. One of my favorite books, but it's great. It produces so much iron that all of my tools now are iron. I have a full set of enchanted armor that's iron. It is one of the best farms you can have in survival mode to protect yourself and to just speed up to get to those cool like iron contraptions, iron gates and iron doors and
rails.
Yes.
Rails. That's my thing. That's what I use iron for. Rails.
Mm-hmm.
Rails.
Oh, same. 100% now. Rail ride through your kingdom is one of the greatest pleasures in Minecraft, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you have a massive rail system now.
I do. Well, we both do, but the iron prison for sure. Before we segue onto rails, and then my latest farm, which true to how we do things, Dark Lord, you're gonna take over to your world.
I'm going to build one of these that he's about to tell you guys.
Yeah. So it is a monster farm.
That was a great idea.
Yes, it just occurred to me when I killed a zombie while I was setting up a new village, and it dropped rotten flesh. You can trade with clerics, so it is useful. It's not totally useless, but it also dropped enchanted armor, which I realized I could convert to gold nuggets, which gold bars, powered rails, bigger cannons.
Yes.
So once that clicked in my brain, I immediately started researching a monster farm, and there is a super simple one that really the only complication, and I was telling this the Dark Lord this earlier, The only resource is a lot of stone, a lot of cobblestone. But it's
Yeah, it's
essentially
massive amount.
massive amount, and it doesn't have to be cobblestone. It can be whatever you're most plentiful with. I mean, a dirt one wouldn't be aesthetically pleasing to me, but
I'm not a dirt person. I
no,
would go with fine stone, especially if you have to. You're going to have to mine to build your infrastructure, so you may as well just in that deep earth mine. There you go.
yep, yep. And then it's 100. You go to ocean floor, or sorry, sea level. You build 100 blocks up from there. Build a platform. 27 blocks up from there, you build a spawning platform, and it's essentially just 4 water channels that lead the monsters into a hole where they drop. You're at the base platform where you can just see their feet because of tile. And the fall damage leaves them with pretty much 1 heart or half a heart. I'm not exactly sure. So it's 1 swipe from a sword, you kill them. The floor is hoppers, so it goes right into the chest.
Nice.
Great way to get bones. I've got some cool enchanted bows, which you can repair a bow with another bow.
I didn't think about the bones though. Like that's great for bone meal to speed up your auto farms for sugarcane and other crops if you got that going.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Plus, the enchanted armor and the thing I didn't think about, but really the most valuable XP.
Yes,
a lot
the XP, which you need for that enchanted armor to enchant your own stuff.
Exactly. And you even need it for repairing things. So I have a enchanted diamond pickaxe that I really don't want to break. So I've repaired it multiple times.
Well, you get attached to things, and you can even name your tools.
Yes, exactly.
Which
I love that.
XP too to name them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think it takes 2 or 3 XP to name something on an anvil. Yeah. Yeah.
The customization is worth it. If you get to the level where you have a nice set of diamond tools, name them,
Yeah, may as well. Yeah, add to your lore.
Definitely deepen it a little bit. Even just steal some sword names from Lord of the Rings or something,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I did. What did I call mine? I wanted to name one needle from from Game of Thrones.
Yes, needle.
But what was Lord of the Rings?
Sting.
Yeah, I named one was Sting. I think I still have it.
Oh, nice.
It needs to be repaired.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's my latest farm is a mob farm. I'd give it, definite recommend. It's not a necessity like the cow cooker.
But hey, I set you up a clay farm. Dripstone technology.
That is absolutely true. Yes, the best way to mass produce clay, dripstone.
Yep.
Everybody, you have to find some dripstone.
And that's a little bit hard to come by. But once you do find dripstone, even if you don't find a huge amount, I recommend before you set up a clay farm using dripstone technology, I would set it up in a way so you can grow more dripstone first, especially like if you don't have much. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I would start a dripstone farm first and then get into that.
Agreed, 100%. And another dripstone in factory investment, cauldron underneath dripstone, block of lava above it. Best fuel source in the game. It's how I do all of my glass now. I just dump lava in the oven and let it go.
Yep, I think you can smell 100 items off 1 bucket of lava.
Yes, and with the dripstone, infinite lava, so you don't have to go hunt it down or worry about the one pool you have dwindling.
Same with water. With dripstone, you can have infinite water.
Oh, see, I didn't even think of it that way. I'm so being in a tributary,
you have plenty of water, but if you have out in your Great Farthian Desert, per se, like if you wanted to build, if you need water, but you have a river out there, so
yeah, I am lucky with that.
Yeah, we've been lucky with our finds now. But I would like to ask you this: what are some misfortunes you've had or encountered?
Oof. Setbacks?
Yeah, setbacks in constructing
Where do
kingdom.
where do I start?
Yeah, I know you had a major setback because we didn't tell the viewers or listeners out there, but this is actually since we started back in 2022 of December, this is your second kingdom. You
It
lost
is.
your first one.
Yes. Whatever Mojang judgment came down upon my head. I have had a persistent problem of my worlds getting deleted because not enough memory. And if this happens to you listeners, it's happened to me too many times to count. It's so frustrating. I always usually take like a month away from the game before diving back in and restarting.
Yeah.
If you encounter that, do not delete your world. Go into the settings, copy your world, and start the copy. It should, and it has with mine, myriad times, restarted fine without the data save warning sign or that we have to delete your world.
Good
So
advice. Good advice.
yes, don't give up if you encounter this. And I'll even say this: I called tech support when I lost the world you were referring to,
Yeah.
or messaged them, um, and they said there was nothing they could do to help me. So that's not true. Try copying your world first and jumping back in, and hopefully that'll be the fix for you. Because
Good.
it was for me, and it saved this world from being deleted too many times. And so now I usually just copy it. Just like when I get a whim, I just copy it. That way I know if it deletes, I have a backup.
I'm glad you said that for those people listening. That's a good caveat and good advice. And you going through that made me just go ahead and subscribe to Realms, like so that way it's just backed up in a cloud or wherever they store it.
And not to be overly cynical, but that's it's not a big price to pay, but it's yeah, obviously if you've invested this much time, Realms is a way to go for sure. Just
Yeah,
to guarantee.
and I did it so you could get on too when I'm not on.
Yeah, which is awesome. I need to look into that as well.
No,
But
it is pretty cool. But is there any other setbacks you've had, like let's say in constructing, like
of course, honestly, building the village of Farthia initially, just laying down the dirt and building those houses in this tributary and building my own island.
Mm-hmm.
I was really able to avoid a lot of. Well, the drowned are always a problem. I hate the drowned so much, but
I do too. I think besides the Ravagers, what those are the ones that fly. I think the drowned. I know they bring an element to the game to make it more difficult, but they're I don't know. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have enchanted a helmet with respiration now, so my breathing underwater is a lot better. So I
Nice.
can see how that element would make fighting the drown a little more fun. But their tridents are just so powerful, and if you get caught, you're done.
It is. What does it kill? What does it do? Knock off 4 hearts, 4 health?
Oh, is that how much? Ugh,
Uh,
I just know the times I've been caught and just
yeah, you have to have a shield.
have to have a shield. But does that work underwater?
No, that's what, and I've kind of complained about that in another episode, like about the skeleton shooting at you. Like when the skeleton's in the water, I hate because you can't crouch in the water. So when you're approaching it, you can't. You have to get hit. I mean, that's the only way you can. You have to go face to face with it in the ocean.
That's ridiculous.
While you're getting hit by arrows, and they have that knockback too. And
it should be auto shield if you're in that type of environment.
I should be able to just throw my sword and spear it in the heart. No, just
if they added a throwing damage element, that would.
I'm kidding.
You could throw any object, that'd be really cool.
At least be able to block while standing would be just something.
Agreed. 100% agreed. I think just having the shield equipped would, because it's always in my first person camera view, so
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so besides getting killed by the drowned, been fairly lucky as far as, but I go slow. So when I add a new district, I it's walled off from my villagers until I create essentially what I call a ghost village. So I build like an empty amusement park. I just build all of the structures, the gardens, the pathways. I make everything look as nice as I want it to look. Then I break down and make sure it's safe. I spend a few nights just building within the area that I've walled off just to make sure nothing spawns. And then open the walls and release the villagers and let them populate and go nuts into the new district. And,
Yeah, you approach it much. See, that's where we differ. And I do love your open expanses. Yours is your cities, which I have a couple, but
yeah, definitely.
I have a couple where I paid a great amount of attention of detail, like skies, like Colombia and those places where.
Oh yeah.
But your villages and cities that you make are very, you put a lot of thought into and into the civil engineering of it, which is really cool. And I love that how you build your game. Mine are more like garrisons. Like
Yes.
when I go into mine are very, because I use mostly deep slate for all of my builds. So they're already you see just a 3 to 4 story wall. Where mine are, fortify the heck out of my villages. They're kind of intimidating. Like you can't see sometimes like the landscape when you go into mine.
No, sometimes you enter your villages and it's easy to get turned around.
They're crammed.
Some of them are cramped. You do. You did mention Colombia, and I just want to take a second to say, especially for the listeners, Colombia is a maybe 100 block high, not quite.
It's exactly 100.
Exactly 100 block high, glass village utopia, where all the structures are glass. Very cool. You can look straight down 100 blocks down from the floor. It tiers up even further from that as you go into the village. It's got farms, everything you need. Really, really cool. And the bank there, you have your central bank. It's really cool. Really cool.
The stone.
Brag about your where you're at as far as resource wise and access and technology, and it's a really cool city.
Thank you, bro. And you checked out, and I've also branched off that. There's a second sky city called Oh Dieu Ciel, which means "Oh God Sky," and, in English. But it's also just I put a lot of thought into that, and that comes. I would have to say my first city was in the New World. That actually, I take that back. Charmois was my first city that I put kind of thought into the aesthetics and space. But
yeah, and that reflects. Charmois is a beautiful city.
It is, except for when it starts to go into Cavern City, then it's a little cramped because it turns into a cave. It's a big city.
Big city.
A lot bigger than you would think.
Yes. And you're good at that subterranean. Your cities are always very maze-like. I like to think of Minas Tirith, where like the walls are high and a little more cramped, from Lord of the Rings.
It is. It's very. I'd have to say my builds are very medieval-ish.
Yeah.
And cramped. I will start but okay, let's just give the listeners out there a comparison. We've been playing about the same length amount of time. I have around maybe 20 towns and that I've constructed, and those stretch for thousands of blocks. And so how many towns would you say you have?
I'm really easy. So I have the capital of Farthia, which much like a large city in America, well, specifically,
It's a metropolis.
It's a metropolis, yes. So I have Farthia proper, which is my initial village, old town. It's cramped. Definitely rudimentary. And then I have several other districts. I have Clericsburg, where I have a white temple, and opposite of that, I have a red temple, and I have two clerics there that are master level because I've traded with them so much. And then I have Armory Pit there, sort of like a blacksmith's open air workshop where I have three villagers there. I have a leather worker in Clericsburg. Then I have Four Horse Village, where our titular battle took place.
Yes.
And that's it's got cherry blossoms. It's a very roomy place. It's connected by bridge on both sides. And then I have the museum district, which is where we're currently standing.
It's massive, massive.
To the point where you're in the middle of it during a thunderstorm, you cannot hear the rain.
It's a big building. On his map, you can visibly see it.
Yes, it's huge. And we had to circle back around to way to the beginning. When the Dark Lord and Gaia Divine came to help me, I was really at a point where I wanted to make something grandiose. So we built a very large, it is all glass, wall to wall. You can look out at every wall. I have three gallery walls in the center of this large square building. The ceiling is completely glass as well. But within the museum, I have every painting on display that Minecraft has to offer, from gigantic to just one space. I've got them all on display, so
it's amazing. No, and you said you want to expand this museum.
I really do, and I have a good idea to do it because we did ourselves there's a skeleton horse out that window. I'm sorry. But since we built it out of glass, it's going to be easy, I think, to add rooms to it and still keep the flow of openness and being able to see all of the beautiful surroundings of my biome.
Yes, I love that about it. And I will have to brag, I think I produced all the glass.
You did. So you, I believe the duties were you were producing the glass because of your industrial background from your realm.
Yes.
And I was doing the general construction and laying out the dimensions that I wanted it to be in.
And Gaia Divine was helping collecting resources and everything at the same time.
Yes, she was collecting the dye because I may have forgot to mention it's all stained glass.
Yes, this isn't just regular glass, guys. This is all stained glass.
A kaleidoscope of all of our realms, different colors are displayed, and it pops. You can see it from so far around.
And I even put a big F right there for far.
Yes, got to keep with the F motif. I similarly have that in my two temples. They have a F motif there, and I usually try and keep the yellow sun in the middle of a blue pattern when I do carpet and things like that, just to keep the aesthetic of the Sun King throughout the kingdom.
Of course. I do like how you get into the carpets and those details. I have not really been good about that in my kingdom, but I've been really good about putting up banners with my kingdom's flag everywhere. I make sure everybody's in the Empereur.
True. Right. Do you want to share that tip with the listeners that you helped me with as far relating to the banners?
Oh yeah, if the listener doesn't know this already, like let's say, for example, my well, let's stick with the Farthian king here. His flag, like I said earlier, it's all blue, dyed blue in the background, and then it has the yellow sun circle in the center representing the sun, right? Well, instead of collecting that blue dye every time and dyeing the wool blue and then making that banner and then applying the yellow dye in the crafting or in the grid there on the loom to put that circled sun there, you can just do a simple copy of that banner. And let me just tell you what you do. You would just go ahead and make a white banner with, I believe it's 6 blocks of wool, 6 wool, and make that white banner. And then what you will do, you're just going to dye that banner completely blue in the loom. You're just going to go ahead and just make it blue, and then you're
Oh
going
no,
like for your flag, right?
no. So sorry, just a tweak to it because that will make it a blue banner. So
No,
you want?
but no, you don't want to dye the blocks. You don't want to dye the wool blue.
Oh, right, right. You just want to add a pattern.
Yeah, so you're
Yeah,
going to have a white banner.
right.
You're going to make the background blue in the loom and then
Yes.
add the yellow circle pattern to it. And then after that, all you have to do is make white banners from there on out and copy it.
Yeah. So when you pull up your inventory screen, off to the right, there's those little crafting squares. You just put your initial banner
Yeah.
in there that you want the pattern to be copied, and then you put the white banner, and it'll go off to the side, and it'll give you two of the same.
It'll
Banner.
save you on dye. You won't ever have to give that base color again or
Yes.
the others. All you have to do is just have a white banner from then on out because it acknowledges it as the original one being a white banner. And you'll just copy that dye pattern over. And it's super easy. It'll save you on on collecting flowers and on those rare dyes that are hard to come by. So I thank you for reminding me on how to explain that. I wouldn't have thought about that, Sun King. Thank you.
No, no, absolutely. It was such a time. Like I'm now, because flowers can be so scarce. Everybody, I'm sure you know when you're trying to dye something that's not red or yellow or one of the more popular flowers. It's just so hard to get a hold of. So this white banner trick, I'm able to just put my sigil and my flag up everywhere, and I love it. I have it on my shield.
No, I fully agree. I kind of coming to the end of the show here. I want to get into a couple other things. Like
Yeah,
we've
absolutely.
talked a lot about Farthia proper. We've delved into rail and factories. We've talked a lot about our history with the game. I kind of want to move forward with your expansion and your goals of the future of your kingdom and future builds. I know that I've kind of helped take part in your future expansion by building my own town in your realm called Jasos, which is an extension of my kingdom of Farthia, which sits on an island right outside of the Bank of Copperton.
Yes.
And you just got that connected. And how, just to give the listeners an idea, how far away is my town or my island of Jasos from Farthia proper?
Hold on, let me pull that up. I have that number. Real quick, you mentioned a couple things that I want to reiterate while I pull that number up.
Yeah,
Uh,
go ahead.
yes, you were very gracious enough when I came to Umbra Dew to let me set up my own village, Sun Valley,
Yeah.
and sort of stake my own lands. And we connected that up with rail before we connected your new world to your old world.
Yes.
Um,
I gave you yes, while you look for those numbers, I'll go ahead and explain to the listeners your extension in my world while you find that.
okay.
So I have a new world in my realm. It's called New World, and then there's the Old World where Sea Town started and where my origin point is in the game. Anyways, let's fast forward months later. I thousands of blocks away from Sea Town, I moved into this area and laid claim to a town called Silhouette City, which then grew to about 15 other towns.
Nice.
And I have a map room, and this whole entire map room is covering the new world, is what I call it. And I broke those into provinces. And there's a massive island there that is not far from Silhouette City. And I put a place there called Los Angeles. I called it Los Angeles. I just wanted to put a town there to lay claim to this island. Well, I decided I wanted to give my brother, the Sun King, his own territory that wasn't a desert. Because, the desert, it came with a natural village, and it's a very nice, resourceful place. But I want in the desert, the new Great Farthian Desert's out on the border. It's not close to any of my villages.
Whoa.
So this would have been closer for us to interact and trade and build. And so I gave him this island, which Los Angeles is on, but I called the island Isla de los Santos, Island of the Saints in Spanish, or now in English from Spanish. And so I gave you that, and you call it now Sun Valley, and New Farthia is your city that you built on the opposite end of the island from LA. So
Yes.
that's his extension. And now back into his realm,
Yes.
into Farthia realm, I have an island that he gave me, and I named it Jasos, which is a fictional town from a fictional real world map in history. And Jasos is off, as I said, the bank of Copperton because it is rich with copper. And we built a fort there that is connected to rail that connects to Farthia proper. Which, how far is that rail? Did you find that number, brother?
I do have that number. And I would like to add that Jesus is connected to Copperton now. We just need to add a depot and a ladder.
Amazing.
Yes. But I don't have that with Jesus attached, but I do have my initial rail numbers here.
Okay.
So my kingdom extends from Denisovich Iron Prison. It isn't the farthest that I've explored, but it's the farthest I have connected to civilization.
It's the
So,
end point.
yep, Endpoint Depot, Denisovich Iron Prison. And if I remember correctly, your initial start of a kingdom was there.
Yes.
Which I also led to me giving you the island of Jesus. I kind of took that over.
Yeah, you performed eminent domain on that.
Yes,
So.
I need the land for the kingdom's sake. But if you start at Denisovich Iron Prison and you hop the rail, it will take you 8 minutes and 38 seconds of real time.
That's a lot
to make it to Jesus.
8 minutes to Jesus.
8 minutes 38 seconds to Jesus.
Now tell me, on the way to Jesus, though, there's a massive tundra biome, and well, that's, I guess, a snowy biome is what they're considered now.
Yes, I can walk you through my stops because I have a compared to the Dark Lord, everybody, I have a very I have a great metropolis as a central hub where I've invested most of my time in expanding. I'm very little as far as pushing my frontier. So I have Denisovich Iron Prison, which has the 20 prisoners who committed sins against the kingdom, of course. And then from there, you take a ride to Farthia proper, my central metropolis hub. That's 1 minute and 21 seconds. Then from there, it is 1 minute 55 seconds, almost 2 minutes to my nearest other outpost, which is called Lava Fall.
And that's a beautiful. I love that little town you carved out of the ice spikes.
Thanks, bro.
The ice spike biome. That's where this Lava Fall town is at, guys. If you recall, just 3 episodes ago during the snowy biomes, I covered all that stuff. So you can picture these huge ice spikes. I think some of them probably go up to the max 100 out there.
Oh, they're massive. They're massive. Very dangerous. So I built a small outpost there. I believe I have 6 villagers now. Which, if any of the listeners are wondering, if you bring villagers from the plains to a different biome and they have children, those children will look like the villagers of the biome they're in.
That's cool. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yes. So I brought my 2 plains villagers in the traditional brown.
The brown garbs.
Garbs, yes, that's a good word for it. I brought them out there, and yes, their children are all native tundraites. So
tundraites, I like that, man.
Yeah. The reason I call it Lava Fall is I had to use buckets of lava on one of the ice spikes.
And it won't melt that.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes. But it creates this very cool effect you can see from the rail as you're approaching this giant lava fall right outside of the
It's beautiful. I love the lava glow with the ice block background. It's really cool.
It's eerie. It's eerie
It's
out
eerie. It is.
there.
I mentioned. Oh, before I forget, not far from right there, you got a rarity. You got the
Oh,
rarest biome in the game.
okay.
How could we almost
I
forget that?
I didn't even think about it. So yeah, let's spend a little time with lava fall because it is a lot cooler than I remember. So, lava
Lava Fall
fall,
has a unique resource. Everybody, listen in.
yes, and it is okay. So I will. Lava Falls uh, has a national dish, mushroom stew, because I'm lucky enough, not me 1/4 day walk from my wall into the tundra because it's sitting on the coast. Lava Fall is. Um, you walk inwards past an ice spike around a corner. There is a small mushroom biome in
Mushroom.
mushroom biome in the cloudy water. It has one brown giant mushroom, like
It
a
is
tree.
small. It's a small
So
mushroom.
strange. It's just parked in the middle of these ice spike glaciers. It's has no business being there. But I was lucky enough to find two mushroom cows there. And
And you cured one.
yeah, I confess I've been listening to the Dark Lords podcast, and I know he's already discussed my flaw, my mistake.
Episode 2.
Yes. So a good tip, not that it needs to be said, but if you find something wild and wonderful, don't mess with it. Research it, capture it if you can, then look into it. But like, don't. I sheared it. It took all the mushrooms off. It was no longer a mushroom cow.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to have a second one, so that lives within Lava Fall, and all you need is a wooden bowl, infinite mushroom stew.
And now you have a sacred cow and a mascot for the town.
And a mascot for that. Something for them, the Lava Fallians, to be proud of.
I would be. You
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
you do have a rare. Okay, so the Mushroom Island is something I really want, and I'm jealous of that, bro. And
Well, I've been thinking now, bro, that I want to find a small island and I want to take one of the blocks from the Mushroom Island and see if I can't convert it.
contaminate it and turn.
Yeah.
You should try that out.
I just need to find the island or maybe build an island.
And when you come back on the show, you're going to have to tell everybody how that goes.
Absolutely. And we'll see if we can't farm more mushroom cows, everybody.
Yes, let's try that out. But I want to move on.
Yes.
Tell me about. Okay, you go past Lava Fall on your rail, and you gave me a natural village called.
Yes. So I want to talk just for a second, just a brief second about Lava Fall 2, and we weren't stretching our imaginations. It's called Winterfell.
No,
but
we copied it right from Game of Thrones.
but yeah, Lava Fall to Winterfell is a little bit over 2 minute ride, and it goes straight through the heart of this tundra continent. Alien blue. If you ride at night, you can see monsters just on the icy plains for so far away, blocks and blocks and blocks, and it's just rich with monsters. And not to mention, I'm found a shipwreck in a glacier.
Even just one shipwreck.
No, several.
Shipwreck Coast, right?
Yes. So it's really cool. It's a ship that's in an ice spike elevated off the ground, as if two tectonic plates hit together while this ship was stuck, and it just rose up with it.
Yeah, it's so cool. You have such a unique world.
Very strange things.
No, you have some crazy stuff in not that far of distances from where you started.
I'm lucky to have a lot of variety, like in a close proximity.
No, you are. It's almost like it was meant for you to lose your first world you started.
I will admit that I'm not bitter about it.
No, you popped up like between 3 towns, a Mushroom Island not that far from you. I mean, it was a ways, but okay. Continue on.
Yes. So just wanted to briefly touch on how cool I think that this rail ride is, regardless that it's mine. It's just really cool. It's a long trip. And even especially at night, it's just alien. When it's snowing, you can't hardly see in front of you. It's just a really atmospheric and cool rail ride. But as you're nearing the end of the continent, that's right, it stretches the whole continent.
It's huge.
It's massive. So as you're approaching the end of it, I spied a village, a natural village, with two natural ice huts, which I think is unique. Not too far distance from where I was building the rail. I tend to, in my world, leave natural villages alone. I don't really mess with them. I might take, like the cleric's brewing stand so I can have it in my village. But other than that, I largely leave them alone. Yes.
You have a different type. When I find one, I stop what I'm doing, like whatever builds, and I will go and wall that off to protect that village.
Yep. And this is exactly what you did when I told you I found this. I think you were...
Yeah, I was like, this thing doesn't have any walls.
Yeah, you were working on Jezos, and I told you about it, and then I took you over there, and you walled it off, and when you were done walling it off, I said, you're going to do more with this than I ever will, so...
You bequeathed it to me.
For you, your grace, yes.
I love Winterfell, and I can't wait. You do need to make man, I wish you would make yours in, like, pay for the realm subscription so I could get on anytime.
I'll do that here soon, of course.
But no, Winterfell is really a really cool town, and I can't wait. And it's not terribly that far from Jezos connected to rail, which you're getting to, I believe.
Yes, exactly. And that's the last. So Lava Fall, you go across Tundra Continent. Winterfell, you have to jump off and you have to walk a little bit.
Not far.
Not far, but it's not as safe or as connected yet. We're still, the Dark Lord has been playing with this more than me, but working on rail switches, an easier way to switch rails so I can have different junctions.
Yes.
But so past Winterfell, short trip over some icy woods, and then you emerge on the ocean again, where immediately you see two shipwrecks poking out of the water. So I call it Shipwreck Coast. Of course.
I love that. I love that name.
Yes. So Shipwreck Coast is the waters, the temple sea, because there's a lot of water temples. So original. But
you found some treasure in those, right?
No, I have not. The curse. I got to figure out the curse.
Have you found anything in the boats?
Oh, the boats, yes. I have several treasure maps, and I believe you mentioned this once to the listeners on a previous episode. I have not been able to find the treasure. I can find the location, but I just don't know how far down you dig. If it's 1 block, should I do 6 blocks, sort of in a square? It just...
From what I've read, some people, they've asked the same thing online, and from all I can say is just don't give up. I guess it's in that it's there.
At this point, industrialization. I'm well protected. I have enchanted gear. I'm not stressed too much about the treasure maps.
But you don't have that cool that trim armor, man.
Oh, I didn't think about the trim. You're right.
And all that cool stuff. You need that stuff.
You're right. Maybe I'll take it. Well, see, the maps to me, bro, just adds that. It's something that I don't even have, like, usually think about. I have probably like 5 to 6 treasure maps.
Wow.
Because I'm so busy doing... not even everything, but like a slice of what else this game has to offer. It occupies my time so much that I'm like, oh yeah, if I truly run out of everything to do, then I can be a treasure hunter. Well, that's just so fun that's an option for everybody.
So that's Shipwreck Coast.
Yes, and then from once you enter Shipwreck Coast, you're over the Temple Sea. Then it's very short jaunt from Shipwreck Coast to Copperton Depot. And then from there, now that you're hooked up, we just have to build a connector, ladder and a depot. But from there, it's straight to Jezos. You could see Jezos from Copperton Bank. Jezos is its own little island that was naturally there. And you tamed and walled off the whole thing. And it's very open, and you kind of adapted your Dark Lord style a little bit to Farthian architecture.
I did. It was kind of a mishmash. For everybody out there, I kind of mentioned copper a couple times. I love it. And yes, I love the patina that it acquires through the weather, and that teal color I use heavily in my religious builds, my reflection rooms, as I call them. And I use them on like the top of buildings as roofs sometimes, and as pillars for flags. And so Jezos has a bunch of copper, because I said Jezos is right across from Copperton, that embankment there that is copper rich. And I have a mine in Jezos that is copper rich as well. I hoard the copper, which is going to come. It's going to increase in value with the new update, bro. I'm not going to regret my copper reserves when the new update comes and I have copper lamps in everywhere.
No, I agree. I've been similarly taking copper a lot more seriously on my mining expeditions, so I've been stockpiling. I can't wait for that update. And
this summer, they're saying the first week of June if they follow previous releases.
Oof, let's go. Okay, Mojang. But yeah, I just want to add on to that I think that's a really cool aesthetic that you started bringing into each one of your villages to sort of unite it. And that's just really, it helps you sort of draw the lore and makes you feel kingly on conquering these lands.
Before we wrap up this show, because we're pushing now into we got about 9 minutes till we hit an hour and a half mark here.
All right. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, what are your future plans for Farthia?
So now,
in your realm and in my realm of Farthia.
Yes. So I always have ideas. But in Farthia proper, in my lands, I built, my empire consists of Farthia proper, the metropolis, Lava Fall, the village, Jezos and Winterfell are your lands. But then I built a further outpost from Jezos in a jungle biome.
What's it called?
Jumanji.
Very fitting. And I think you just took me through there for a little bit.
Which, true to my world, I built Jumanji and carved out a little ghost village in the jungle, and I fortified it, and I brought in my villagers, got it settled, decided to explore the surrounding lands, and just over the hill, natural village with a church, blacksmiths, tools, and all these sorts of things. Really nice big village. So now I have a tundra village, and I have a jungle village. I have my plains village. I'm on my way to conquering them all. So future plans, expand my rail out to Jumanji. It is a long trek, and it's going to be a long rail.
Could you guess like a guesstimate on how far that is from where Copperton is?
To you,
1,000, 2,000 blocks?
Not 2,000. I would say closer to 1,000.
Okay, yeah, that's a decent amount.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of resources, but
because you don't have a Badlands biome.
That was my second thing. So
your gold.
Yes. So for the listeners, the Dark Lord is lucky to have Santa Fe in his realm, which has a Badlands biome next to it. Which, if you don't know, Badlands are very dangerous, very sparse.
Oh, they know, bro. I just last episode's called Badlandia, baby. Um,
All right, let's go.
you will hear that when it releases, but yeah, they know. They know.
Okay, awesome, good.
They know how
I'm not telling you anything
treacherous
you don't know. So
that
that's
place.
my next goal. Is twofold: connect Jumanji and find a Badlands biome so that I can get the powered rails to connect Jumanji.
Yes. No, so
Yes.
you need to secure your, but you have already attempted to mass produce gold yourself through ingots with a
Uh,
pot farm, which is clever.
yes. That is very low yield.
It
And
is.
I'm realizing the benefits now are mostly in the XP.
Yes.
So, but still, don't I do not regret building any farm that automates something and makes my life easier. It gets me resources that are difficult to track down. Not a waste of time. So, but a hunt for the Badlands biome is my big one here. As far as your realm is concerned, I just want to expand over to that
Arbre terre, tree land.
Ambretaire. Yep.
Arbre
And
terre
kind of
from French to
create.
English is tree land, everybody. Sorry.
Yes, tree land. Yeah, expand over there, maybe take over that coast, and just sort of a slow expansion. But other than that, when I'm in your realm, I think similar to when you're in my realm, we kind of work on just sort of civic projects that one or the other has in mind, like connecting your new world to
Yeah.
the old world or building this
Yes,
grandiose
that was
gallery.
great help. I
Yes.
think you and I should just have an entire discussion of how to set up rails, like tips, like rest stations on large constructions and stuff. Yeah,
Jump pads. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I think you do need to go expand a little bit into Arbiter, but I do agree. Usually we're trying to help each other on civic projects in our proper kingdoms when we're
Yeah.
playing with each other, which helps a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So Sun King, before we wrap up, I was going to ask, do you have anything to say to the listeners out there?
ooh, keep on crafting. I mean, keep putting out videos or tips and hitting the Reddit and sharing information because that's what has helped me build this massive empire is the community of people out there spreading the
Yes.
information that they find, sharing what they know. Um, and yeah, uh,
The
talking
lore.
about your lore, add your lore, that's what's great about this game is that the mechanics are there, but the story is yours. So
I agree, Sun King. And do you think you'll be back on the show?
anytime you need me, Dark Lord.
That's amazing. I think everybody would love to hear from you again.
Hey, I'm a huge fan. Um, it's been a really cool the episodes you put out so far, Dark Lord, and I kind of have a peek at what you have planned, and I'm really excited, man. It's cool to tie his history into it and different ideas for how people can make stories and create their own lore. So I think you're providing a really valuable resource for the community.
I really appreciate that, brother.
Yeah,
And yeah, I want to get you back on the show so we can discuss other aspects to the game and yeah, and just more of our lore in our kingdoms and give people ideas.
definitely. And yeah, new updates and the game is always changing. So never run out of topics to talk about for sure.
And real quick for everybody, it sounds like you'll be in the future be providing some of my cover art. So look out for that, everyone.
Yes,
For a couple like cover arts on these episodes.
yes. Currently working on updating your logo a little bit. Um, yeah, and then and giving you some different artwork about the creepy crawlies and the other monsters you can find around a Minecraft.
Well, brother, with that said, I can't wait to have you back on the show, but I'll be seeing you shortly in Dieu or in Farthia.
Absolutely, Dark Lord.
Till then, man. Love you, brother.
Love you too. Talk to you later.
Bye, bro.
Bye.
And that wraps up the show, everybody. Until next week, keep on crafting and using your imagination, and I'll see you guys then. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this episode, please hit that plus sign up there and follow me so you can get my latest weekly episodes sent directly to you. Send this podcast to all your friends, all those Minecrafters out there, and comment on each episode and take a poll. And don't forget to rate the show. This will help me improve the show and just make it better for all of you. Also, you can now email me at realmnews247@gmail.com. Also, you can find me at what was formerly called Twitter, but now is X, at realmnews247. There you will find some of the cool articles and videos from my research, polls, and Minecraft-related content.